Well, he's certainly a more mature Henry VIII. In the first season, I had to have so much youthful impetuousness with him, so much aggression, so much volatile energy, that you have to see him grow in season 2. And I've made him much more contained, much more in control of himself, and much more comfortable within his role. He doesn't have Wolsey. Soon enough, he's not going to have Thomas More, brilliantly played by Jeremy Northam, and he has got himself an incredible match in the Pope, played by Peter O'Toole. That's a very difficult question. How does it feel playing Henry VIII? I don't know how it feels playing Henry VIII, because for the period of time that I do it, I don't see the world any differently. I don't go home in the evening and become Johnny Rhys Myers very quickly. I never really leave it. It brings a different energy and probably makes me quite difficult to live with in a personal life while I'm doing this job, because it's always in the back of my head that I have to think like a king. I have to behave like a king. Even in public, I find that I have to maintain this element of grace and elegance, even when I'm not working. The only time that I ever get, during the period of when I'm shooting, that I get to not be king is I play football on a Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. And for that 1 hour, hour and a half, I forget about the kingdom. Every single day, every other hour, it's always in my mind, it's always in my head, it never leaves. Maria Doyle Kennedy is the ultimate Catherine of Aragon. I haven't seen her played like this ever, with such empathy, such sorrow, and such determination and strength within that sorrow. Some people take their strength from successes. Some people take their strength from high energy. She takes her strength from sorrow, such deep, deep, deep sorrow, that it brings a completely different energy. Whenever I see Maria Doyle Kennedy on screen, I want to weep and applaud at the same time for what she has gone through, for the pain that her character has suffered, and suffered with such dignity, incredible amount of dignity in Maria Doyle Kennedy. And this really, really came across and made Catherine of Aragon quite more than a jilted queen. It made her almost a jilted element. She is not only representing womanhood, she's representing pure and true womanhood, and eternal love and devotion. Anne Boleyn is just extraordinary. How Natalie Dormer has played her is just quite the most extraordinary thing, because she starts off as this very intelligent, highly intuitive girl. And then suddenly she's thrust into this arena by her father, Thomas Boleyn, played incredibly by Nick Dunning. And so at the start, she's not really sure whether she loves Henry or can love Henry. Then she begins to love Henry. Then she begins to become an ally of Henry's. Then she starts wielding power of her own. So you'll find in the second season, Anne Boleyn has become very, very powerful. But she's got to be careful, because Henry doesn't share power with anyone, even somebody he's taken to bed. So there's a certain limit to Anne Boleyn's power that she hasn't found yet. But Natalie has played it with extraordinary intelligence and extraordinary beauty. She's one of the one actresses that I've met in my life, and I've worked with a bunch of them, who knows how to use every single inch of herself. I love working in Ireland. I love working with the Irish crew, and I love working at Ardmore. It's great. It's like, it's coming home, and we all know each other. I think this season is even better. And the writing's better. Everybody knows what they're doing. Characters have already been established. And it's like when we shot the first season, we didn't know how people were going to react to it. So there was all this unknowing, this sort of reaching around in the dark. And we're not reaching around in the dark anymore. We know what works. We also know what doesn't work. and it's very much easier to go forward knowing what works and what doesn't. The lighting this year, the costumes this year, the performances this year have just elevated. They've been elevated for whatever reason they have. It's that difficult second album, and I think it's like, it's proving easier this season than it was last.